got my first real six-string, bought it at the 5 and dime.
And good morning. Welcome back to the Joe Bartlett Saturday Show. Our friends from Residential Home Funding with us this morning. As always, Robert Miller from the Westchester branch of Residential Home Funding. Welcome back, Robert.
Thank you.
And
little Bryan Adams there.
Yeah, well, we're playing some summer music here.
Uh-huh.
And the CEO of Residential Home Funding, Roberto Lupi, just keeping an eye on things on the phone. Roberto.
Nice to be back.
You must have another golf game like Tom Marinaro, right? Or you'd be leaving soon for the links?
Unfortunately, I'm more of a football player than a golfer.
Okay. Now I know we have an expert on the real estate market, and we've sort of laid out this just sort of dismal picture here, aside from the rates. And let's see what he thinks. Anthony Lolli from Rapid Realty is with us, and he's going to talk to us about the housing market and maybe provide some tips for homeowners on things that that can help him. Anthony, good morning. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Good morning.
First of all, that was pretty dismal stuff about not hitting bottom. 40% of people who took equity loans are underwater. Home sales are anemic. What do you see out there on the front lines?
Well, I've been in the rental industry for 13 years now, and we grew our company to 46 locations. And going into this business model, we thought we'd never really have to adopt sales. We really wanted to keep ourselves in sort of a niche market. But now, because the rates are so attractive, we're calling our agents a hybrid agent, where we'll take a renter and turn them into a buyer, because there's a lot of landlord confidence nowadays. Maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, the landlords were being more flexible about their rent, but now they're getting more aggressive. And what I mean by aggressive is not only are they increasing the asking price for their apartments, but they're also increasing the security deposit based on the recession. So now going into an apartment, you may have to shell out $10,000 just to live in something that's somewhat decent. So when you're already shelling out that kind of money, it's so easy to make that switch into a purchase.
And the thing about that, the beauty is you can get your other tenant to pay part of the mortgage for you, right?
Absolutely. We're actually strategically putting together partnerships where we're getting roommates and saying, hey, you're already going to spend this much money a month, pull some money together, and you have a guarantor that's going to guarantee the rent. Maybe ask mom and dad or ask your family member to contribute towards the down payment and invest in this market, because whatever goes down must go up. I believe that.
Now, I understand, Anthony, you're involved in Park Slope and Brooklyn neighborhoods, right?
Well, we have offices in all the 5 boroughs and Long Island and New Jersey, so we've really expanded.
In terms of the New York metropolitan area, we never seem to get hit like some of the other markets. Is there some resiliency here in the tri-state?
Well, rents have always maintained their integrity, and I think that's what's pushing people towards purchasing now. Is a lot of people thought that they could get good deals and get away with renting their home and maybe renting something cheaper for themselves to live in to avoid foreclosure. But that's not the case here in New York. Rents are not going down. I mean, they did for maybe a couple months, but other than that, I mean, they're just increasing.
Okay, what about some tips real quickly for listeners who, you started them thinking about this? What would you suggest they do?
Well, we have over 700 agents in our organization, and the main complaint I get from my hybrid agents is unprepared buyers. There's nothing more that turns off a salesperson than you having champagne taste in a beer pocketbook. If you really want to get the full gamut, if you really want to get your salesperson to give you 100% attention and show you everything on the market, then get pre-qualified. In my case, I always use residential because they're great. They're no nonsense. They know exactly what's going on. They have their fingers on the pulse of the market, and they're very instrumental in orchestrating a good deal. So the main thing is speak to a good mortgage broker, see what you can afford, and then with confidence, give it to your salesperson. Give it to the realtor and say, listen, I can afford to pay this much money. And you'll notice a big change. Now the realtor's showing you everything instead of just showing you a couple things just to be nice and then walk away.
All right, Robert, what about that pre-qualification? That's painless, isn't it?
It's completely painless. It's necessary. I see it all day long. People call. It's really just a conversation. Let's take a look at your credit. Make sure there are no surprises, which is one of the big things, because I can't tell you the amount of surprises we see on credit reports. Little things, $25 medical collections, whatever. Even if you think your credit is perfect, check ahead of time, because when you check ahead of time, there's time to fix it. And then really just talking about your income, kind of forecast what we think the cost of the home will be as far as tax and insurance, and figure out a number that's right for you, that you're comfortable with, and you're pre-approved for that much. And then you can take that in hand and do exactly what Anthony's been talking about, and now you're prepared, and now you say, here's what I'm looking for, you know what it is. And then, of course, you can fine-tune those numbers as you get further along. But pre-approval is so important in buying a home right now.
All right, I want to ask Roberto Lupi, the CEO. I mean, how risky is this type of investment? You know, you're buying two-family, multi-family homes for somebody who hasn't done it before.
You know, the part about risk which you need to go into is, A, can I afford this before I take on a renter? So in other words, can I make the payment without being dependent on somebody else to help me make that payment? And if the answer to that question is yes, there's no risk at all. Because then, basically, if you do not have it rented, you're still able to carry the cost. If it's somebody who may answer no to that question, then you need to evaluate, because then if you're dependent on somebody else to make the payment and you can't make it yourself, then that might lead to problems where we don't want to discuss, i.e. foreclosure or getting short sale.
A lot of times now we're seeing people buying these multifamilies, and you can get Section 8 rentals, and then you're really almost guaranteed your rent money, and it's a lot more secure. And then, of course, as we said before, we're seeing when you have that, you're seeing properties cash flow from the start. So the multifamilies, and by the way, when we talk about all this bad data, the only good data was that actually multifamily sales are up. That is up. Multifamilies and, frankly, commercial loans, those two items are up right now.
Interesting. Anthony, I mean, so this seems to be the profitable segment of the real estate market right now, right?
It is really, and then myself as an investor, I'm finding some great deals. I can't take them all, so I share them with friends. But it's just an amazing time if you're a real estate investor to buy, again, because the rents have maintained their integrity and they're continuing to increase. But one thing I wanted to note was you have to make sure that when you do speak to a mortgage broker, you just don't get one of these internet pre-approvals. I mean, that game is over. You really need a mortgage rep. You really need someone that's going to talk to the realtor and say, hey, yes, this guy's okay. This guy definitely can afford it. Because, salespeople, they know the game now. I see customers come to the office. They have the sheet of paper they got in the mail that you're approved, and it's a joke.
Yeah. All right, Anthony, thank you very much for your expertise. Anthony Lolli and his firm Rapid Realty. And we're rapidly running out of time here, Robert, so why don't we recap your rates, which are phenomenal, one more time for our listeners.
I agree. So let's talk about a 30-year fixed, 4.625%. The 15-year fixed loan at 3.875%. The 10-year fixed at 3.375%. And let's not forget that super special today, 20-year fixed loan at 4.5%. And a $1,000 lender credit to cover the cost of the appraisal and title. Almost a free loan. Phenomenal opportunity. You've got to call and find out what's available for you, how can you go wrong, and you know what? This is not going to last. These rates are not going to last. I pinch myself every week. I'm worried about it, but right now they're great. Take advantage.
It's amazing. I mean, you get a 4.5%, whatever you have, you can go to 4.5% and basically for free.
Exactly.
For 20, that is a phenomenal deal. Well, give us the telephone numbers where people can get a hold of you.
Thank you. It's 800-636-LEND. That's 800-636-5363, or they can reach us on the web at rhfunding.com.
All right, Robert, thank you very much, as always. And Roberto, good to talk to you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right,
and Joe, one last point.
Sure.
Everybody out there, the call is free for a free evaluation on where you stand.
Okay, so absolutely. So you get qualified. I mean, that's free. Just call. I guess run through the numbers. Right? Call Robert. Call anybody at Residential Home Funding. Run through the numbers. That's free. And I think you're probably going to be pleasantly surprised. Great. Thank you, Roberto.
Thank you.
All right, Robert, see you next week. Anthony, thanks to you, too.
You got
Anytime.
it.
All right, 8:30 is our time here on the Joe Bartlett Saturday Show. Don't go away. We're going to talk about the big battle over pension reform. Representative of professional firefighters in New Jersey will be joining me next to talk about that. But right now, our news with Dave Spencer.